I have for you today is this, and please do not take it lightly. The cards arrived with an urgent tone today, issuing a direct warning about the energy surrounding you. A specific individual has been circling your world, and their true intention is not what it seems. This person operates beneath a surface of charm, carefully disguising a motive that serves only their agenda. They have studied your patterns quietly, learning exactly when you are most open and emotionally unguarded. Nothing about their approach is spontaneous. Every interaction was engineered to manufacture a false sense of closeness. The warmth they project feels convincing, but underneath that exterior sits a calculated strategy built on manipulation. Your spirit flagged this presence already, sending subtle alerts through unease you may have brushed aside too quickly. That nagging discomfort in your stomach was never paranoia, it was instinct trying to shield you from deception. Pay attention to the patterns forming around this individual, because the cards are illuminating what your eyes overlooked. Repeated encounters that seemed coincidental were orchestrated, and each one was designed to lower your natural defenses. The first card exposing this situation is the Tower, and it delivers an undeniable jolt of revelation. The Tower does not arrive gently, it crashes through illusion and forces buried truth into the open immediately. This card says the foundation you believed existed with this individual was constructed on unstable ground entirely. What appeared solid was never built to hold weight, and the tower demands you recognize that fracture now. Their presence triggered something comfortable inside you, but that comfort was manufactured rather than earned through genuine devotion. The tower also reveals a shocking fragment of information surfacing soon, exposing what this person concealed deliberately. When that revelation lands, the picture rearranges itself, and what once seemed trustworthy suddenly appears completely hollow. The second card stepping forward is the Seven of Swords, and it confirms deception woven into this bond. Seven of Swords represents stealth and betrayal, indicating this person operated with hidden motives from the start. Their intention was never rooted in genuine care. It began as a strategic move to access your world. They pursued proximity to your light and your emotional generosity, not partnership built on mutual respect. Seven of Swords says this individual rehearsed their approach, testing which version of themselves you would trust. The mask they crafted fits disturbingly well, and even close observers mistook their performance for authentic investment. Beneath that disguise lives a hunger for control, a compulsion to infiltrate your life without earning it. Seven of Swords warns that ignoring these red flags invites entanglement, and extraction grows harder each week. Every layer of false intimacy they build tightens the grip, making eventual separation feel more devastating. Your awareness right now is the sharpest tool available, and using it deliberately protects everything you have cultivated. The final card grounding this warning is the King of Pentacles, and it profiles this person with precision. King of Pentacles represents material ambition and worldly authority, confirming this individual values status over emotional truth. Their interest connects to what you represent externally, your stability, or the access that your circle provides. This person views relationships as transactions, and the investment they placed in your trust was calculated for return. King of Pentacles confirms their attention flatters deliberately, making you feel chosen while they assess what you offer. The warning woven through every card today stays consistent. This individual approached with a specific, self-serving intention. Your intuition sounded the alarm before these cards did, and that inner voice deserves far more credit now. What felt like attentive devotion was actually reconnaissance, gathering details about your vulnerabilities disguised as genuine curiosity. The discomfort you dismissed as overthinking was actually your deepest wisdom attempting to protect you from real harm. This reading does not arrive to frighten you. It arrives to arm you with clarity before things deepen. The cards urge vigilance wrapped in calm strength, because awareness alone dissolves what was built on deception. So, let us go into it, because this section focuses entirely on what stirs inside of you. Before anything external gets addressed, the cards want to sit with your emotional landscape right now. A quiet tension has been lodged in your chest, and identifying its source has proven incredibly difficult. You sense that something shifted around you, but the specifics hover just beyond your conscious grasp. That foggy unease follows you through mornings and lingers at night, refusing to dissolve despite distraction. Part of you wants to dismiss it as stress, but deeper instinct recognizes this feeling carries meaning. You have been questioning your own perceptions, wondering if your suspicion reflects genuine wisdom or mere anxiety. That internal debate drains more energy than you realize, and it leaves you feeling hollow by nightfall. The first card for your emotional state is the Four of Cups, and it mirrors your exhaustion. Four of Cups represents emotional withdrawal, confirming your spirit has been retreating inward to process overwhelm privately. You grew tired of analyzing mixed signals, and a numbness crept in where sharp intuition once lived. This card says you stopped trusting your radar temporarily, allowing confusion to overwrite what your gut recognized. Four of Cups confirms emotional fatigue dulled your sharpest instrument, the instinct designed to protect you completely. The weariness you carry is not weakness. It is the aftermath of absorbing energy never yours to hold. You absorbed tension from interactions without filtering it, and that accumulated weight now presses across your shoulders. Four of Cups validates your need to retreat, but reminds you that withdrawal cannot become permanent shelter. The next card reflecting your inner world is the Hermit, and it speaks to your isolation gently. The Hermit represents solitary wisdom, confirming you pulled away from social spaces to reclaim clarity independently. Lately, silence appeals more than company, because outside opinions cloud what your own heart attempts to communicate. You chose solitude from necessity rather than sadness, needing distance to hear the frequency your intuition broadcasts. The Hermit says your isolation served sacred purpose, creating enough stillness for buried knowledge to finally surface. Answers you sought externally were living inside you this entire time, waiting for the noise to quiet. Your inner landscape holds more intelligence than you credit, and that wisdom sharpens with each day you listen. The hermit confirms you are not lost inside this solitude. You are gathering exactly what you need. Protection lives within your stillness, and the quiet you constructed serves as a fortress, not a cage. Then we have strength appearing for your energy, and this card reflects resilience you have been underestimating. Strength represents courage through gentleness, confirming your power requires no aggression to be effective or genuine. You possess endurance most never develop, forged through past experiences that demanded survival without external support. That quiet fortitude operates beneath your awareness, holding you upright through seasons where others would have collapsed. Strength says the composure you maintained through confusion was not numbness, it was your deepest self holding firm. You did not freeze under pressure. You stabilized while your subconscious processed information faster than thoughts allowed. This card confirms your emotional core remains unbroken, even when surface confidence wavers beneath doubt and fatigue. The final card anchoring your energy is the Two of Pentacles, and it reveals your constant balancing. Two of Pentacles represents juggling priorities, confirming you managed competing demands while processing this internal turbulence silently. Obligations continued receiving your attention normally, and nobody detected the storm brewing underneath your carefully maintained calm. That performance required enormous effort, and the cards honor how much energy you spent maintaining composure while struggling. Two of Pentacles confirms you stretched thin across too many obligations, leaving almost nothing for your own healing. The depletion you feel is earned, not imagined, and your body signals that truth through restless, sleepless nights. This portion of the reading belongs entirely to you, honoring the invisible labor your heart performs each day. Now, let us dive into this because the cards shift focus entirely onto their inner world. This individual carries a chaotic mental landscape, far more turbulent than their composed exterior would ever suggest. Beneath the polished surface lives a restlessness, one that has driven every calculated step they took recently. Their mind operates in constant strategy mode, weighing outcomes before selecting which face to present in each moment. Genuine relaxation does not exist for them because maintaining a fabricated identity requires vigilance that never sleeps. They rehearse interactions in advance, predicting responses and adjusting their tone to match whatever reaction benefits them most. Control anchors their entire psychology, and the thought of losing influence over a situation triggers deep internal panic. That panic never surfaces visibly, but it pulses beneath every decision they make and every word they select. The first card exposing their inner world is the Five of Wands, and it reveals internal conflict. Five of Wands represents clashing energies, confirming this individual battles competing desires that pull them in opposite directions. Part of them craves authentic connection, while another part refuses to relinquish the advantage that deception provides. That war between genuine longing and strategic habit consumes their private hours, leaving them more fractured than expected. Five of Wands says they recognize their duplicity, and that awareness creates a shame they very deeply. They did not begin as a manipulator. Circumstances sculpted that behavior over years until it became their default. Somewhere beneath the strategy lives a version of them that remembers sincerity, but accessing it feels impossibly vulnerable. Five of Wands confirms their aggression stems from insecurity, not from malice rooted in any deliberate cruelty. The second card stepping forward is the Devil, and it illuminates the obsessive nature of their attachment. The Devil represents bondage and compulsion, confirming this person feels chained to patterns they cannot voluntarily break. Their fixation on gaining access developed into something addictive, where the pursuit itself became more rewarding than connection. The thrill of influencing perception feeds a hunger inside them, one that intensifies each time it satisfies. The Devil says they privately acknowledge this behavior damages others, yet the compulsion overrides their moral objections consistently. Late at night, guilt visits them uninvited, presenting a mirror they immediately turn away from to preserve function. Their relationship with honesty collapsed long ago, replaced by a transactional worldview where vulnerability equals weakness without exception. The Devil confirms they trapped themselves inside a cycle, and escaping it would require a surrender they dread. Admitting fault would dismantle the identity they spent years constructing, and that prospect terrifies them beyond any consequence. Their inner monologue justifies every manipulation as necessary survival, reframing exploitation as cleverness rather than harm inflicted. That narrative protects them from confronting the wreckage scattered behind every relationship they enter and abandon. The final card revealing their hidden landscape is the Nine of Swords, and it confirms private torment. Nine of Swords represents anxiety and dread, showing this individual suffers in isolation more than anyone suspects. Sleepless hours plague them regularly, filled with racing thoughts about being discovered and exposed for everything. The fear of unmasking haunts their subconscious, creating nightmares that replay scenarios where their carefully built facade crumbles. Nine of Swords says their confidence is performance, and behind closed doors, self-doubt consumes them almost entirely. They carry a private terror, convinced nobody could ever accept the unfiltered version of who they are. That belief drives every manipulative impulse, convincing them that fabrication is the only path toward receiving any attention. Nine of Swords confirms their suffering is real, but their chosen response to that suffering harms others repeatedly. Compassion for their pain does not require tolerating their behavior, and that distinction matters enormously here. Their inner world is a prison built from fear, and every deceptive act adds another bar to it. This portion of the reading belongs entirely to their side, exposing the fractured landscape hidden beneath their mask. Okay, let us get into it because the cards now track the physical moves being made. This individual has already escalated their behavior, transitioning from subtle observation into deliberate and targeted contact. Their outreach patterns shifted within the past few weeks, becoming more frequent and harder to dismiss as casual. Messages land at strategic intervals now, timed specifically to catch moments when resistance runs lowest and guards drop. They initiated conversations that steer toward personal territory, extracting details about routines and upcoming plans with precision. Social media activity from their direction spiked noticeably, with consistent engagement designed to maintain constant visible presence. Every interaction serves a dual purpose, appearing friendly on the surface while quietly advancing a deeper positioning strategy. They have begun inserting themselves into shared social circles, attending events where a natural crossing becomes inevitable. The first card tracking this movement is the Six of Wands, and it shows their campaign gaining momentum. Six of Wands represents public victory, confirming this individual has successfully convinced mutual contacts of their good intentions. Their reputation management operates flawlessly right now, with carefully placed compliments building trust among peripheral observers. Allies were recruited unknowingly, with friends and acquaintances vouching for this person without understanding the full picture. Six of Wands says the social proof surrounding them has reached a tipping point, making skepticism appear unreasonable. Invitations now arrive through third parties rather than directly, adding a layer of legitimacy to every proposed interaction. Group settings get manufactured specifically to reduce suspicion, making private access feel like a natural byproduct of socializing. Six of Wands confirms their public persona has been fortified, and dismantling it requires evidence observers resist. The second card driving this action is the Knight of Swords, and it reveals an aggressive acceleration. Knight of Swords represents swift, decisive pursuit, confirming this individual has shifted from patience into full forward attack. The careful pacing they maintained earlier dissolves now, replaced by bolder moves that demand immediate response and attention. Direct invitations replace subtle suggestions, and their communication drops the pretense of casual interest almost entirely. A confrontation of proximity approaches, where physical closeness gets engineered to a degree that feels impossible to avoid. Knight of Swords says their timeline compressed, and the urgency behind their actions reveals fear of losing access. Pressure arrives through increased visibility, with this person showing up in spaces previously considered private or untouched. Phone calls replace text messages. Voice notes carry a tone of familiarity that was never genuinely established. They reference shared experiences with manufactured warmth, constructing a narrative of closeness that did not organically develop. Knight of Swords confirms the velocity of their approach will intensify before it stabilizes or retreats at all. The final card anchoring this movement is the Ten of Pentacles, and it exposes the practical target. Ten of Pentacles represents material legacy and established wealth, confirming their actions aim toward long-term resource access. Steps toward financial proximity have already begun, with conversations steering toward joint ventures or shared investment opportunities. They position themselves as trustworthy advisors on practical matters, offering help that creates dependency rather than genuine partnership. Ten of Pentacles says their strategy extends beyond emotional access, reaching directly into material and professional territories. Documents or commitments may surface that bind obligations, presented casually but carrying legal or financial weight underneath. The momentum behind their campaign has built steadily, and without intervention, the trajectory leads toward deeper entanglement. Every move from this point compresses the available window for establishing firm boundaries before access becomes normalized. Awareness of these physical patterns transforms passive observation into active protection, and that shift happens starting now. This portion of the reading captures the tangible escalation unfolding, where hidden strategy translates into visible, calculated action. So come in close because the cards now reveal what this individual would never voluntarily speak aloud. Buried beneath every calculated move lives a confession so raw it would dismantle their entire constructed identity. They privately admit the obsession controlling their behavior has grown far beyond what they originally intended. What began as opportunistic interest mutated into something they no longer fully command or comprehend inside themselves. Their hidden truth is this: they became dependent on the pursuit itself, and losing access feels catastrophic. Late at night, when performance drops away, they confess silently that this fixation consumed them entirely. The hunger driving their actions frightens even them because it exposed a void they believed was permanently sealed. Confronting that emptiness without distraction terrifies them, and pursuing access became their primary method of quiet avoidance. The first card exposing these confessions is the Three of Swords, and it cuts directly into truth. Three of Swords represents heartbreak and painful clarity, confirming this individual carries wounds they refuse to acknowledge. Their deepest confession involves a rejection from years ago, one that reshaped how they relate to others. That wound never received proper healing, and every manipulative pattern traces its roots back to that singular fracture. Three of Swords says they wish they could approach bonds without armor, but vulnerability triggers automatic shutdown. The version of themselves that existed before that rejection horrifies the calculated persona they inhabit today. They confess privately that control is not ambition, it is terror dressed in confidence and worn like armor. Admitting that fear exists beneath their exterior would collapse the narrative they spent a lifetime carefully perfecting. Three of Swords confirms they mourn a former self that vanished after heartbreak, and that grief stays buried. The second card uncovering hidden desires is the Queen of Cups, and she exposes unexpected confession. Queen of Cups represents deep emotional intuition, and her presence reveals something this individual hides from absolutely everybody. Beneath the manipulation lives a genuine craving for warmth, a desire to be held without condition or judgment. Their secret wish contradicts every outward behavior, because privately they ache to be accepted exactly as they are. That confession carries enormous shame, since needing acceptance feels like admitting defeat inside their internal framework completely. Queen of Cups says they fantasize about surrendering control, collapsing into trust without calculating the consequences first. The image of resting inside genuine safety haunts their private moments, appearing uninvited during their most exhausted hours. Articulating this craving aloud terrifies them, because doing so would expose the exact weakness their armor conceals. Their desire for unconditional belonging clashes violently with the transactional worldview they adopted as permanent survival strategy. That collision produces a suffering shared with nobody, carried alone like invisible weight sewn directly into their ribs. The final card sealing these confessions is the Eight of Cups, and it confirms desire to walk away. Eight of Cups represents abandonment and departure, revealing this individual secretly fantasizes about leaving their patterns behind. They confess in their most private moments that exhaustion from maintaining the facade reached a breaking threshold. The performance sustaining their constructed persona drains reserves they no longer possess in any sufficient quantity remaining. Eight of Cups says they dream of vanishing from every connection, beginning again as a different version entirely. That fantasy of reinvention is their most guarded secret. admitting the current self they constructed has failed. Walking away would require confronting every individual they deceived, and that reckoning paralyzes them more than staying. Eight of Cups confirms they stand at the edge of emotional collapse, whispering confessions into empty, dark rooms. The weight of unsaid truths presses against their chest nightly, and the dam holding everything sealed fractures slowly. Every hidden admission amplifies beneath the surface, and what stays concealed today demands confrontation with doubled pressure tomorrow. This portion of the reading honors the unsaid, exposing confessions guarded more carefully than anything they possess. All right, the energy coming through today is this, and this final section seals everything with firm direction. The near future brings a pivotal moment of exposure where the truth surfaces in undeniable fashion. Within the coming weeks, an event strips away the last protective layer, concealing their real motive entirely. The first card guiding this forward is Justice, and it confirms that truth prevails with absolute precision. Justice represents accountability and balance, indicating the universe is already correcting this situation on your behalf. What was hidden gets dragged into visibility, and their rehearsed explanations crumble under the weight of evidence. Justice says the exposure arrives without your intervention, delivered by circumstances they accidentally set into motion. The next card offering guidance is the Six of Pentacles, and it carries essential advice about boundaries. Six of Pentacles represents exchange and generosity, urging you to audit where your energy has been flowing. The imbalance in this connection became normalized gradually, with you giving far more than you ever received. Six of Pentacles says reclaiming your resources starts with recognizing that uneven exchange was engineered, not accidental. Protect your time with the same ferocity you protect your finances, because both were targeted by this individual. Do not feel obligated to explain your boundaries to anyone who demonstrated they would violate them repeatedly. Six of Pentacles confirms self-preservation is not selfishness, and conserving your energy right now is deeply necessary. The final card completing this reading is the World, and it seals a full cycle of protective clarity. The World represents completion and wholeness, confirming that awareness alone closes the door that was pried open. The World says you emerge from this situation stronger, carrying discernment and wisdom that shields you permanently. Your clarity right now functions as the most potent shield, and the cards confirm that protection is active. Now let me bring the message back around, because the warning threaded through every card deserves clear repetition. The cards warned you directly. A specific individual pursued you with a calculated and self-serving intention. Your intuition detected the threat before any card confirmed it, and that instinct proved accurate at every level. Let me walk through every card across this reading, because each one delivered targeted and specific purpose. The Tower crashed through illusion, forcing truth into the open, and Seven of Swords confirmed woven deception. King of Pentacles profiled their material ambition, revealing that status and resource access drove their interest. Four of Cups mirrored your emotional withdrawal, and the Hermit honored the solitary wisdom you gathered in isolation. Strength reflected your quiet resilience, holding firm under pressure, while Two of Pentacles exposed your exhausting balancing act. Five of Wands revealed their internal conflict between longing and strategy, and the Devil illuminated obsessive compulsion. Nine of Swords confirmed private torment and sleepless dread, while Six of Wands tracked their public campaign forward. Nine of Swords revealed aggressive acceleration, replacing patience, and Ten of Pentacles exposed the practical, material target. Three of Swords cut into their deepest confession, tracing patterns to original wounds, exposing unhealed heartbreak beneath. Queen of Cups uncovered their hidden craving for unconditional warmth, contradicting every outward behavior they perform publicly. Eight of Cups confirmed their fantasy of walking away, admitting exhaustion from sustaining the constructed persona entirely. Justice announced truth prevailing soon. Six of Pentacles urged boundary enforcement, and the World sealed protective completion. This reading carried one consistent warning from the first card to the last, and that message never wavered. Trust the instinct that flagged this presence because your inner wisdom identified the danger before evidence arrived. The protection you need already lives within you, and activating it requires nothing beyond believing what you know. You stood in the center of deception and remained intact, proving your spirit cannot be conquered. Thank you so much for being here and for trusting me to walk through this with you. I appreciate your presence and your courage, and I am sending you so much protection and light. Within the coming weeks, an event strips away the last protective layer